Tua Tagovailoa's offense scored a touchdown and 2 field goals on 8 drives at the weekend. Tagovailoa himself threw the ball 33 times, completing 23 passes for 270 yards and 1 touchdown. Relative to the rest of his career, those are huge numbers, but they're also numbers that massively flatter him. Tagovailoa was lucky not to have at least 3 turnovers in this game, with 1 fumble and 2 interceptions. We'll get to those plays, but first let's look at the red flag plays that suggest Tua is going to handicap this offense over the course of the season. The first play comes from the very start of the game, and it couldn't be more fitting after the off-season narrative surrounding Tua's fit with new wide receiver Tyreek Hill. It was notable throughout the game that the Dolphins are now actively seeking out shot plays. This is no longer a dink and dunk offense like it was before. On this first play, Hill runs a deep route to the top of the screen. The receiver at the bottom runs a deep curl route, and the tight end goes to the flat as he is part of the play fake in the backfield. The play concept works perfectly. The linebackers all bite hard in the play fake, leaving the tight end uncovered in the flat. The uncovered tight end draws the attention of the cornerback outside, putting him in a lose-lose situation between the wide receiver and the tight end. The deep safety can't cover over the top of Hill because he sees the space over the middle in behind the linebackers who were drawn forward by the play fake. When we switch to the end zone angle, we can see that Tua initially does a great job to catch a difficult snap. He then stops the outside cornerback by looking to his tight end in the flat for a moment. The technical execution up until this point in the play is perfect. But when he tries to wind up and release the ball into the wide open space down the right sideline, he panics and throws the ball straight into the ground. It lands 10 yards behind Hill after the receiver had stopped and turned around. It's as if it left his hand at the wrong time, never gaining any depth or height. It's not like he threw the ball just out of Hill's reach. The throw just looked wrong from the start. Very soon after that first miss, the Dolphins call another shot play. This time Hill is the decoy and fullback Alec Ingold is snuck through the defense's front 7 to attack the space that is created by his teammate. The defender who was supposed to cover Ingold lowers his shoulder and tries to hit him early in the play. That's because he thinks the fullback is run blocking. This takes him out of the play instantly. Tagovailoa can either loft the ball deep downfield for Ingold to run underneath, or he can use a lower trajectory and higher velocity throw to hit the tight end's body before the other defender covers across. Tua isn't capable of making the throw on the blue line. He has to try and loft the ball into the space. Despite having a clean pocket and space to lead his open receiver into, Tua's ball is badly overthrown. The fullback makes an athletic dive to make it look like the ball was thrown closer to him than it actually was. This wasn't close to being completed. You don't get too many easier deep shots on that one. The play worked exactly as it was designed, the quarterback just ruined it with poor execution. When Tua didn't miss open shot plays downfield by making a bad throw, he missed them by not seeing them in the first place. This is another really easy play for an NFL quarterback. Tua executes a play fake and turns around to the top of his drop. He has time to stand and survey the coverage, but he shouldn't need it with only 2 receivers running routes downfield and a third in the flat. His choice is immediately obvious. His crossing route couldn't be more wide open. This is a simple play where the quarterback plants his foot at the top of his drop, breathes for a moment to let the play develop, then delivers the ball through the passing window into the space in front of his crossing route. Instead, Tua jumps at the top of his drop for some reason, then turns around and runs backwards out of the pocket. As he's breaking the pocket and facing his own end zone, the aforementioned crossing route is alone over the middle of the field. There's nobody near him. Had he hit this receiver in stride, he had a step on a deep safety, and Hill was occupying the cornerback on that side of the field, so he was going to be running into wide open space. He likely goes for at least 35 yards here when you consider the potential yak opportunity that was lost. Instead of gaining an easy chunk play and moving into Patriots territory, Tua forces himself into a throwaway. If you're just watching on the broadcast and inclined to give the quarterback the benefit of the doubt, you'd call this a smart throwaway rather than an egregious missed opportunity. It's not an interception, so it has to be a smart, safe play. But that's simply not true when you see the overview angle. Quarterbacks who don't throw to open receivers invite pressure. Tagovailoa has his out route here at the bottom of the screen, but he won't throw it from the far hash. That means he brings the free blitzer into the play and is sacked. Sure, the offensive line could have picked that player up, but that's not always going to happen. When you have an open receiver and an opportunity to get rid of the ball, you have to take it. He's lucky it was just a sack too, because Tua is a split second away from potentially fumbling this ball. Starting your throwing motion after you're being tackled is a very problematic trait to have. It puts the ball at risk and is more likely to lead to fumbles. It's a trait that should have cost Tua a turnover later in the game when he's again sacked, but this time you can see him start his throwing motion in a condensed pocket. He moves the ball away from his body when the defender is standing right behind him. There is no space to actually do his throwing motion here, so the only thing that's going to happen is a fumble. The hustle of his teammates and some good fortune prevented the ball from bouncing towards the Patriots. He turned a sack into a strip sack and relied on factors outside of his control for that strip sack to not turn into a turnover. Speaking of factors out of his control, let's go back to the shot play designs. This time Tyreek Hill is going to line up on the right side and motion to the left before running a wheel route up the sideline. Tagovailoa decided before this ball was snapped that he was throwing to Hill. We know that's the case because Hill is covered so much so that he actually gives up on his route early in the play. Tagovailoa still throws the ball his way, which forces him to improvise. The throw favours the defensive back from the start. He can get 2 hands on and above Hill in the air. He times his jump perfectly, but Hill somehow manages to reach up with one hand and pull the ball in. This is an insanely good catch on the end of an insanely bad throw and an insanely bad decision. It should have been intercepted. The Patriots defensive back to the inside thinks it's been intercepted. He's celebrating. Instead, it's caught by Hill and contributes to the positive numbers of Tua's final output. It's evidence that he can throw the ball deep when you solely look at the box score and ignore what actually happened on the field. Finally, we have Tua's second interceptable pass of the game. The Dolphins are largely in control at this point. It's the second half and they're playing with a lead. Tua is going to bootleg into the right flat, something he has to get used to in this new offensive scheme. He has an immediate option on the crossing route, but the ball has to be thrown at a high velocity into a closing window early in the play. It's very difficult for a left-handed quarterback to set his feet and throw this early, so that player isn't really an option. That's just a part of him being left-handed and moving to his right. It's not going to be an issue when he's moving to his left. Hill is running deeper downfield, but he's also well covered. Nobody is open here. The tight end leaks out late underneath, but he's only an option after Tua has dropped his eyes to the pass rusher on the edge. Once he's in danger of being sacked by that defender, he blindly throws the ball up towards the general area of his crossing route. One Patriots defensive back knocks the ball away from the second, who was going to cradle it into his chest for the interception. You can't call this a smart play. You can't call it a safe play. You definitely can't call it a well-executed play. You can only call it lucky. Tua relied on factors outside of his control to get a positive play. Actually, it's not even a positive play, it's just a neutral play. It's not a negative play, it's an incomplete pass. Eventually, a quarterback who misses wide open big plays, relies on luck to avoid interceptions, and shows a consistently poor process in the pocket will curtail your offense. If the Dolphins defense scores a touchdown and faces an offense with the limitations of the Patriots each week, they'll be fine. But they won't. They want to go deep in the playoffs and reach the Super Bowl. This is clearly a Super Bowl ready roster, but it's also clearly a team lacking a quarterback capable of doing what's required to win a Super Bowl.